Thank you for the introduction. And thank you for the yesterday's sightseeing tours. It was awesome. Thank you. And I would like to add that view composition API is meant for medium-sized and larger components. And like with React hooks, it's completely adaptive. So you can just use other ways of defining components, if you like. So let's start. When new technology is announced, I always ask myself a few questions. Why was it introduced, and how can I benefit from it? I will try to answer that questions in that talk and show how to use it. For me, the main benefit of using components API, composition API, is code organization. Let's compare it to a way how you organize files inside your application. You can organize files by type, where logic is spread across different folders, and by logic, where, for example, about page is contained inside one folder with all necessary parts there. Let me ask the question, which one do you use? So please raise a hand if you use if you organize files by type, like on the left side of the screen. OK, thank you. And do you organize files by logic, so the right side of the screen? Great. I can see that most of you is using second one. This is the same with code organization in view components. As you can see here, in current options API, logic is spread across, logic is showed here by colored boxes. Logic is spread across a component and mixed together. So if you want to work on something like, for example, sorting, you have to constantly jump through the file in search of necessary parts. On the other hand, composition API allows us to group things together, and this is just easier. And the next is logic reuse. If you want to share some logic, and this logic is, you can't easily extract that logic into separate component. You can use mixins or higher order components, and these have some problems, mainly with mixins, where refactoring becomes really painful. Composition API solves most of these problems. But how we do it, how it's possible? So we carefully extract all view's core capabilities into standalone functions. These functions can be easily imported and then used inside new setup option in which you return something. If you return something, these things are accessible inside components template. And these APIs are standalone functions, not connected with component, so you can easily group them how you like it, move them outside component definition, or even extract them into other file. If you want to see a real-world example of view composition API, you can check this repository. And I would like to add one more word. I really like composition API. It's similar to React hooks, but without the traps for new users, because, for example, it does not re-evaluate on every component re-render. It's evaluate only once. So I encourage you to try it, and thank you very much.
Thank you so much. That was Karol Fabjanczuk. We have one question for you, at least. So let's see that question. Is there a situation in which you would choose Options API instead of Composition API? If so, why and when?
Of course, as I said, Composition API is meant mostly for bigger components. If these components are smaller, just use the Options API. You don't need to adjust to new way of defining components.
That's all the questions we have for right now. Thank you so much. Again,
Thank you.
this is Karol Fabjanczuk.